The Raiders' new offensive coordinator, very familiar face in the NFL, former Eagles coach, former San Francisco 49ers coach, and really someone who's been an offensive mastermind, I guess you would say, for the last decade or so, or really throughout the balance of his career. Chip Kelly.
There could be a little bit of interest in Marcus Mariota between the Miami Dolphins and Chip Kelly and the Las Vegas Raiders.
Listen, man, Chip can't shake at all, nothing. He knows this. That's why I said it. I know him.
And that shit was coward as hell, bro, and I just don't respect you. And if I seen you, I probably...
The Las Vegas Raiders may have made one of their best hires in half a decade. This Raiders fan base that has dealt with so much disappointment may actually be turning things around. There is some really good and some really bad when you're talking about a high-profile offensive mind like Chip Kelly. Let's break it down. Chip Kelly, while head coach of the Oregon Ducks, was known for his innovative offenses and also his hard-ass coaching style.
All week long will be about your quarterback, your offense. What do you know about Darren Thomas's injury?
He gets injured in the game. Hey, will you shut up?
Thank you.
We don't know.
Chip Kelly had a lot of success in his final year with the Oregon Ducks in 2012 with freshman quarterback Marcus Mariota. More on that in a little bit. But this landed him a head coaching job with the Philadelphia Eagles, taking over for the fired Andy Reid in 2013. And at first it was amazing. The Eagles were one of the most productive offenses in the NFL. You can see their ranking here in 2013, second in yards, fourth in points, 2014, fifth in yards, third in points. The players and Chip Kelly seemed happy.
You give him that much space and you are in trouble. You must squeeze those lanes down to make sure he a tough cut for him.
But these Eagles players who Chip Kelly worked with, like LaShawn McCoy, like Deshaun Jackson, they would say some negative things about the Chip Kelly era.
I don't respect Chip Kelly. That's just what it comes down to.
I think he's an asshole, man.
I don't like giving them clickbait or whatever they want to call it shit, but I'm a real one and I just speak on it, bro. What he did, bro, you could talk to anybody that was ever a Philadelphia Eagle fan, bro, and they'll tell you the same thing. He dismantled that team, bro. There was no way you get rid of a Deshaun Jackson, a LaShawn McCoy, a Michael Vick, a Jeremy Maclin, on and on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you really broke down the team, bro, and we were Philadelphia.
But was this criticism fair? Thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Underdog, where you can win money on sports. Underdog is one of the fastest growing fantasy apps in the industry. I especially love their pick'em game, where you can pick whether your favorite players will have a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for a chance to win big. You can win up to 1,000 times your money in one night. Personally, I love this when it's a football game that I'm not emotionally invested in. By the way, Underdog has like every sport in the world, but putting some skin in the game makes me care more about a game that I'd usually not care about. Check out this map right here to see if Underdog is available in your state. Shout out to my home state of California, where it is available. Also, when you sign up with my code Wi-Fi, you can claim a free pick plus get up to $1,000 in bonus cash for first-time players. So visit UnderdogFantasy.com, use my promo code Wi-Fi, claim your free pick, and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash for first-time players. So what the hell are you waiting for? Check out Underdog right now. Chip Kelly originally did not have final say on roster decisions, but a report emerged in 2015 saying that there was a shakeup in the Eagles front office where Chip Kelly would have more say on the roster and Howie Roseman, the GM, would have less control. Howie Roseman, who is the Eagles GM to this day and one of the most successful ones, had his GM title removed. So while Chip Kelly's offense with the Eagles was praised, his roster decisions and rubbing some Eagles players the wrong way is really why people have a negative look on the guy. He released Deshaun Jackson and traded away LaShawn McCoy to the Bills, and he didn't have nice things to say about him later.
Man, listen, like, I'm not talking to Chip. You know, we got nothing to talk about. He can't call me. He can't shake my hand. There's nothing he can do with me. You know, he can't say to me. So, I mean, that's simple as that.
Why can't he?
I don't dislike him. I don't have nothing against him. But there's nothing we can talk. There's nothing for us to talk about. He knows that. He know me. He know how I am. He know how I act. There's nothing he can tell me. There's nothing we can talk about. Listen, man, Chip can't shake at all. Nothing. He knows this. That's why I said it. I know him. He's very intelligent. So I can read between the lines. But
while some players did not like how Chip Kelly was controlling with these NFL players like they were college players with their diet, etc., other players like Deshaun Jackson were really upset that Chip Kelly moved on from them to save money, even though they had career years with Kelly and the Eagles.
I was supposed to be getting 3 for 30. So it's like, you take food off my table. You know what I'm saying? Like, how would you feel if I took food off your table? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what you did. And that shit was coward as hell, bro. And I just don't respect you. And if I seen you, I probably I'm gonna be real.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I know this, but the money part,
So clearly players get emotional over Chip Kelly. But for all of Chip Kelly's bad roster decisions and how he rubs players the wrong way, you can't deny that he had a productive offense and did it without a stable quarterback situation. While with the Eagles, he had 4 different QBs, Michael Vick, Nick Foles, Mark Sanchez, and Sam Bradford. Michael Vick really wasn't healthy most of the time with Chip Kelly and the Eagles, but nonetheless, Kelly was still able to make the Eagles productive in 2013 and 14, at least on offense. He had some issues with the NFL because he ran an up-tempo and no-huddle offense more than any other team in the entire NFL by a ton. Dean Blandino, the head of officiating at the time, even put out a warning to Chip Kelly saying we have to make sure that teams understand that they don't control the tempo. Our officials do. We're going to go through our normal ball mechanics. We aren't going to rush unless it's a 2-minute drill. So these officials were really annoyed at the fact that Chip Kelly kept running no huddle. That was the main negative about Chip Kelly's offense, is that he often did not have a high time of possession, so his defense would be tired as hell. Things started falling apart after these bad roster decisions with the Eagles, and the lights were literally going out on Chip Kelly in his final year with the Eagles.
You know, I think multiple games during the year, so, and then obviously losing Jordan, there's an omen.
That's sort of ironic, isn't it?
On DeMarco's fumble.
What a trolling reporter, a smart-ass reporter. That's sort of ironic, isn't it? And it was, because Chip Kelly was eventually fired by the Philadelphia Eagles, but then hired by the San Francisco 49ers. But while with the 49ers, Chip Kelly had to work with their GM Trent Baalke, who recently got fired by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he had a horrible roster, man, taking over for Tom Sula after the Harbaugh era and had to rely on Blaine Gabbert for quarterback. It just wasn't going to work out, and it didn't. And he has actually the worst record in San Francisco 49ers history with Chip Kelly in 2016. But some interesting things happened with Chip Kelly while he was in the NFL. He talked about his career coaching in college while he was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, and he said that Marcus Mariota is the most talented kid he has ever coached. While he had Mariota as he was a freshman with the Oregon Ducks, he said he's a special young man and he's a hell of a football player, and said he deserved the Heisman when he did win that Heisman Trophy award. After being fired by the San Francisco 49ers, Chip Kelly would be the head coach of UCLA, and he really had to clean that program up and get it turned around. Had some losing seasons, but in his final 3 seasons as head coach of UCLA, he had over 8 wins, a winning record in all 3. And what's so crazy is he would decide to leave UCLA as their head coach. He didn't even get fired. He just decided to leave and join Ohio State as their offensive coordinator.
You know, when I was at a point where I could say, here's an opportunity to go be a coach again, not a CEO. So it would have taken a real special place to get me to leave UCLA, because I love the players there. I love the coaching staff we have there. We had a great situation, but the opportunity to come here and just coach football and not have to do the things that a head coach is asked to do now in college football appealed to me.
As offensive coordinator with Ohio State, of course, Kelly would win the national title. That now brings us to the present day in 2025, where Chip Kelly, out of nowhere, after the Raiders hired Pete Carroll, the 73-year-old, as their head coach, they hired the 61-year-old Chip Kelly as their new offensive coordinator.
The Raiders' new offensive coordinator, very familiar face in the NFL, former Eagles coach, former San Francisco 49ers coach, and really someone who's been an offensive mastermind, I guess you would say, for the last decade or so, really throughout the balance of his career. Chip Kelly goes from Ohio State, where he led them to a national championship, to the Las Vegas Raiders. He had several NFL teams interested. Houston Texans were one. Raiders, of course, were another. Raiders willing to spend big time to get Chip Kelly. And
so the Houston Texans were trying to poach Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator, but Pete Carroll was able to recruit him, and the Raiders outspent the Texans with a $6 million a year deal for Chip Kelly, who is now the highest paid offensive coordinator, highest paid coordinator overall in the entire NFL. I think this is a huge deal, because you would think that Chip Kelly, if he had the option to coach CJ Stroud with the Texans, he would take that, and the Raiders don't have their quarterback situation figured out right now. But like I showed you earlier, in his Eagles era, Chip Kelly managed to make it work with below average quarterback play. And think about it, the Houston Texans have head coach DeMeco Ryans. There's no chance for a promotion, but with the Raiders having the 73-year-old Pete Carroll on a 3-year contract with a 4-year option, Chip Kelly is probably looking at Pete Carroll and saying, wow, this guy's 73, 3-year deal. I could be promoted and be the head coach of the Raiders in the future since Pete Carroll is so old. That's not an option with the Texans and the very young DeMeco Ryans as head coach. And because he is the highest paid coordinator in the NFL, you have to think, is there a succession plan with Chip Kelly and the Raiders as head coach? Now, the big question is, what are the Raiders going to do at quarterback now that they have Chip Kelly as their coordinator? And it looks like a former Raider, former Oregon Duck, Marcus Mariota, may be on the table.
Remember how much everybody wanted the Eagles and Chip Kelly to trade up to get Marcus Mariota, who's going to be a free agent this offseason. So Marcus Mariota, I think maybe that's going to be an option. There could be a little bit of interest in Marcus Mariota between the Miami Dolphins and Chip Kelly and the Las Vegas Raiders.
So you have Adam Schefter already talking about Marcus Mariota to the Raiders this offseason, reuniting with Chip Kelly, who said he's the most talented player he's ever coached, who wanted to trade up and draft him when he was head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. And Marcus Mariota, when he did fill in for Jaden Daniels this past year with Cliff Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator, we saw this dude ball out, especially against the Dallas Cowboys.
Here's Mariota, slips the tackle, and he dives. He's in.
So the former Raider Marcus Mariota is showing that he still has legs at age 31. What's hilarious is that Mariota was backing up Jaden Daniels last year, and Jaden Daniels seems like he was a Mariota fan growing up. There's a picture of him in a Marcus Mariota Titans jersey when he was younger. Marcus had some positive press after the 2 games that he played in this past year.
I enjoy going in with these guys. It's a lot of fun, and when you have a brotherhood like this, you'll find ways to win.
Didn't play tough opponents, played the Cowboys and the Panthers, but pretty good numbers, 2 touchdowns in each game, 0 picks, 83% completion percentage, and he ran the ball a decent amount, 56 yards, 34 yards here. So after being a backup with the Raiders, Mariota was a starter with the Falcons for about 1 year, but there was a weird thing going on where head coach Arthur Smith was not straight up about Marcus Mariota being the starter the whole year, and they eventually benched him for Desmond Ridder, the 3rd-round pick, who's now on the Raiders. So Desmond Ridder's on the Raiders right now, was signed last year. Maybe they can have Mariota and Desmond Ridder together again, but this time on the Raiders. But after that Falcons stint, Mariota has been a backup with the Eagles and now the Washington Commanders. So I think he'd be a great guy to have, especially to sit behind a young quarterback that you draft. If you're able to grab Shedeur Sanders, can you grab Cam Ward? Maybe not. Maybe have a Jalen Milroe or a Jackson Dart sit behind Mariota. Who knows? But the Raiders are going to have tons of option, and the sky is high now with Chip Kelly.